For example, if a company like Shell, the big oil company, is coming to us and say, okay, I will pay 10 million euros for the jersey breast, we would say no. Oh, we are still punk and doing other things. So punk is against something, against the system, against the regime, for example. And we are deeply in our hearts, we are still punks. We try to maximize our profit as well. But the way to that profit, it's a different one, like everybody else in the league.
Hello, Martin, to our show Mundial. Can you sort of outline what is your role within the club, sort of on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. So hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be here and to give you some insights about myself and my job of FC St. Pauli. Yeah, so I'm responsible for the commercial part of FC St. Pauli, but not of the whole commercial part. So John, have a look on the sponsoring and hospitality, but also on esports, brand consulting, partnership management, and so on. It's a big department I'm responsible for. It's approximately 25 people. And below the line, we are responsible for making money, for the club. Yeah, we take not everybody, not every company in our family, but just those companies who very fit well to FC St. Pauli, and that's my job, and I love it.
I can see how challenging it must be. Is sort of the commercial aspect or the marketing kind of a rude word for the St. Pauli fans sometimes?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a struggle between these two sides of the medal. On the one hand, we are responsible, as I said, for making money, and on the other hand, it's our job for keeping the brand, and that is very important because it's not too easy. It's not so easy it's not so easy to find the right companies to work together with for FC St. Pauli. And it's not so easy to make money within this very clear point of value, and but it's challenging, and it makes very fun because the brand FC St. Pauli is very clear, is very strong, and that's why we are able to work together with brands who are not investing in the sports in general. For example, a big company for us in Germany, it's Follow Food. So it's a sustainable food company. And they said to us, if we go into sponsoring, we could just go to FC St. Pauli because the values are so strong and they are very fitting to their values as well. And so it's challenging, as I said, but it makes it very interesting for us, for our team, and for the club as well.
Mm-hmm. Do fans' attitudes sort of evolve throughout the years to the aspect of bringing money to the table to the club and sort of accepting the marketing strategies in some ways, if it's the right business for the club to present itself with?
Yeah, so I think we have to go into the past because until 2019, the club was marketed by an agency, Sport 5. It's a big company. It's a big agency in the world, and from that point we take this into the club. We had more, I don't know how to say, it's more space for going to companies. We are very close to the sport. So if I need something from the sports, from our head coach Timo Schulz, or from our managing director of sports Andreas Bornemann, then I'm calling them, and then I say to them, I need this and I need that. Same for the communication department. So we are very close into the club, and this is what was not able of the agency when they were responsible for FC St. Pauli, because an agency is still not, to be honest, within the club family. It's still somebody from outside. And from that point till 2019 till now, of course, we had Corona. Was a big mess for us, but there is a development. You see that we work together with brands who fits very well to FC St. Pauli, and we dropped out some brands who fits also well, but not as well as other companies. And that makes our brand very strongly. And of course, for example, I mean, almost everybody, as at least the people who know FC St. Pauli, who combine something with our club. Was it in Germany we say Weltpokalsieger, so we've beaten FC Bayern Munich in 2002 when they won the championship, and we made the T-shirt out of that, and it was that was the record T-shirt, so it was sold out within a few minutes. And so we have the different point of views to look on the club. And so we built up this brand very clearly, and we are totally aware, especially in the commercial department, that just making money and to maximize, it's not the case of FC St. Pauli. We have to make money, but we have to make it in our rules, and this is very important. For example, if a company like Shell, the big oil company, is coming to us and say, okay, I will pay 10 million euros for the jersey breast, we would say no. I mean, 10 million euros is a big amount of money, but Shell, for example, is a company within an industry which does not fit to our value and to our club. And so we have to say, thank you for the offer, but there is no deal and there's no space for cooperation for you and for FC St. Pauli. And these things, and to build up the brand, especially with our sustainable things, and also with our social things, that built up the money, built up the brand in the last years, I think.
Of course, this brings a lot of questions. Since the bringing in the partners and the commercial side was brought into the club and was made within the club, do fans recognize it as well, that the portfolio of partners is changing? Because, of course, in the past, the club has had multiple debates over a lot of sponsors and a lot of issues within the club. So is sort of debating with the fans over each sponsor and each partner still a thing within the club? And that's what I was alluding to in the last question. If the fans' experience or the perceptions of how the club is bringing in the partners into the club is changing in these last few years.
It's a very good question. Yeah, you may have Under Armour in mind. It was a deal which was very good for FC St. Pauli from a money perspective, because we got so high value, so much money from Under Armour that we decided to go into that contract. Although we totally knew that Under Armour was not our love brand, to be honest, because due to military advisory and so on, which Under Armour is doing, especially they dress the police from Baltimore and so on. So of course there were in the past there were some struggles between the fans and the commercial part, but now, and that was what I said, we are very close to the departments, but also we are very close and much closer to the fans. And from my point of view, they are more happier with our work, because they see that we struggle. I think that they see that we try to understand the club and try to understand although their point of view. And due to this connection to our fans or to representatives of our fans, I would say that it works much more better than 5, 6, 7 years ago. But also a tool I would like to mention is the CSR check. We have different departments, as I said, within the FC St. Pauli, and one department is the CSR department. And whenever a club is willing to cooperate with FC St. Pauli, this department makes a check of this company. And in case there are some points who are not fitting to our values and to our brand, then we could not go into the cooperation. And that gives us a very clear feeling and a very safe feeling there, because the biggest threat is that we onboard a company with which our fans have a big problem and a big issue. That would be horrible. And our point of view and our ambition is always to bring the perfect or the most fitable companies to FC St. Pauli, into the fans. And so I think they're recognized because we have very smart and clever fans, very engaging fans, and very engaging community. And that's, from my point of view, they I think they say them to themselves, okay, we do not love the commercial part of FC St. Pauli, of course not, but we respect the work of the commercial department and what the women and men are doing within this company.
Mm-hmm. Of course, this also stems from the basic question: what constitutes a success in St. Pauli? Because the club is for more than a decade in the second division, but at the same time it is able to run on a sustainable basis. And of course the club has its 5 principles that is still trying to go with. So what are sort of the boundaries or the measures that you are, let's say, judged upon as a commercial side, and what sort of would be the thing where you say to yourself, oh yes, this is ideal? When you look at Union Berlin, which I'm not saying is run on the same strict principles as FC St. Pauli, but of course the fan power there is very strong, and they have also their unique ideas, I would say. Is that sort of where you would see yourself in a couple of years, and is that something that is sort of relatable to your experiences, for example?
Yeah, so Union Berlin is a very good example, because a few years ago even Union Berlin was far behind FC St. Pauli in terms of revenues, in terms of sold out stadiums, etc. But they developed brilliant. I mean, now they're at the first place in the first division after seven match days, I think. So was a perfect what they have done in the past. So, but our KPIs, yes, I mean, of course, is it's one of the KPIs is commercial success. Why is it so? We are deeply convinced that our values, like sustainability, for example, that we have a look on social responsibility, but also on economic and the ecological part. That we have a clear view of racism, for example. We're deeply convinced that these values are the right one, and our aim is to bring these values among Europe.
And sorry for me to go into that, but is this also where you see the progress and the future of football clubs as well?
Absolutely. So it's not done with let's play football, and every societal part we throw away. So as a football club, you need to have a clear point of view and a clear value, for example. I from my point of view, I say that well, let's take another one. the rainbow colors. I mean, of course, everybody knows him, and they know how important it is. FC St. Pauli was the first team who bring up a flag in rainbow colors on the top of the roof of the stadium, and get to express how important this topic is. And now nowadays, so even from the smaller clubs, the captains of this teams wear these captains badge was in rainbow colors. And so we've seen there is a progression, and that's very important, and it's good because, and I come back to what I would like to say is the second division is a brilliant platform, because football in general is the biggest sports by far in Germany. And of course, the second division is a good platform, but the best platform is the first division. So our ambition has to be in the first division to move up into the first Bundesliga. And that's our big aim. And so our ambition is to earn a lot of money so that we can invest it in the sports, so that the possibility is getting higher to move up into the first division, that we have a bigger platform to spread our values. So commercial is on the one hand, but it's also, and in Germany we have a lot of market research, and in the modern or in the newest market research, it's seen that FC St. Pauli is in the Champions League. In case of brand image, brand awareness, and so sympathetic brand, and that's also a KPI. So how we are seen from the people in Germany who are interested in football, but who aren't interested in football as well. And so how is a brand recognized? And if we go back into the past, there was more or less like something the pirates of the league, and Skull and Bones, and the iconic things. And now we want to be more progressive and to put the society topics in the focus, and to say we have to do something for our environment, for our planet, because otherwise there is no plan B for our planet. So we have to do something now, and this is very important for us. And these are the things, the topics who we want to spread with our community, within our community, and this is also very important for us. And of course, we want to play successful. We want to stay the important club for our fans, because we are doing everything for our fans. We're coming from we are a city club, so we are grown up in St. Pauli. It's a district of Hamburg, and we are what we are now due to our fans. And our fans are in the focus, and one KPI is how satisfied are these fans with FC St. Pauli, with our work. And so there are different KPIs, and in general we decide how successful we are, or where our where we have to improve ourselves.
This is fascinating to hear, and I was just thinking in terms of the question for the progression and the future, not only of football, but of the business itself. Because if you take a company like Shell, which has 100 years or even more history, where there is always something to be found which is not in line with the club's values, and on the other hand, you have this growing green business. I would say this Matteo Flamini's company, it's also generating some electricity through green ways. Of course, this green business a lot of the times has grown on a green field in the last couple of years, and doesn't have this sometimes dirty history in inverted commas for the St. Pauli fans. Is it? And also it's where the money is in the future. So do you see yourself with your values and with also the brand awareness that you have not only in Germany but worldwide, because you have a worldwide fan base, as, if I should say a little bit cynically, as an opportunity to give St. Pauli a platform which a lot of other clubs don't have, because what you have is a unique business, but until now what I felt is that you cannot really sort of sell it for the outside world. So do you see in sustainability one of these great opportunities for you in the future?
Totally. To be honest, from my point of view, we are in the kind of pole position in this topic, because of different reasons. So first, the social part. Since the last 20, 25, 30 years, the social part of sustainability what is in our DNA. So as I said, we are a club from the district, and the people within the district are very important for us. And we fight against poverty, for example, within the district. And so we've done it, not for shining bright into the society. We've done it because we are totally convinced that this is a right way. And now, since so the green trend, so since 3-4 years is coming up, then of course we see a big opportunity, but from the good point of view in it, because it's a chance for everybody. It's a chance for everybody to push the good topics. And from our point of view, we want to work with good companies. So no oil companies, so no weapons, so no companies who are destroying the planet, or who had destroyed the planet in the past. Of course, for example, VW, as a big car manufacturer here in Germany, they've done a mistake due to Dieselgate, for example. So, but now they are developed the electric car very strongly. So it doesn't mean that if you had some mistakes in the past, so it's not able to work together with FC St. Pauli in the future. But we try to focus on these industries, on this company who have our planet and the society and the people in the focus, and not just making or maximizing money. And I think this is a big problem, still the big problem, that everybody is looking on the profit point of view, and we try to maximize our profit as well. But the way to that profit, it's a different one, like everybody else in the league, from our point of view. And if we could be a role model for the other clubs, that would be totally okay for us. As I said, our aim is to go up in the first division, but not for every price. So, and from my point of view, there are a lot of industries and a lot of companies who are developed into the green direction, and there could be possible partners for FC St. Pauli, but also for every other club in the first, second, or third division in Germany, but also in basketball, in handball, or in ice hockey, or every sports you do have. And I think there is a big chance for the sports, because these clubs who focus on the right fields are more attractive for brands who put the focus on the green topics. And from my point of view, FC St. Pauli is in the pole position, but we have to struggle hard, and we have to do the right things, that we keep this pole position, and that we are getting more attractive for more successful companies in terms of sustainability.
Would you say it's an advantage for you to work in sort of the German constraints, in inverted commas again, because of course within the 50+1 rule, the clubs cannot be owned by any outside businesses or billionaires, so the clubs have to generate money otherwise. And of course the pressure on clubs is to generate money and is to somehow get the money also from fan experience, from the marketing strategies, from the fans. But there cannot be also this huge difference between what the clubs can bring to the table. And would you say that because of the German environment, you have this space to prepare yourself for the new partners and sponsors who could come into the football that you couldn't do elsewhere, and also because of the green business which is growing in Germany, maybe more than in other countries?
Yeah, you're totally right. I mean, as I said, we are a very special club, and we have very good prerequisites because we're located in Hamburg. It's a financial very strong town, and of course it's a brand who has a big value, brand value, and it's more or less easy to market this or to capitalize this brand. If I go into other clubs, and I talk a lot with colleagues of mine from every other club in Germany, and of course, very often they say, Martin, if we have the chance to cooperate with a company who's willing to invest in our club, we will do, and we don't care about the industry. So because our job is to maximize the money, to the revenue that we can put into the sporting system, and that's it. It's totally okay because they do not have already the brand strengths like FC St. Pauli, and they have to earn money, so in their own way. And so what I wanted to say is that we want to be a role model that you can orientate it on FC St. Pauli. That does not mean that we are the TJs who say you have to do this and you have to do that. So that's not our ambition. Our aim is that we try to do the good things, the right things, and that other clubs can orientate on FC St. Pauli. I'm totally clear, and I'm totally aware that it's not possible for other clubs to handle like we are, and to say to some industries or some companies, no, there is. Although you want to work together with FC St. Pauli, but there's no room for that. So, but it's the solution is not to stay. So to stay is not an option. You have to develop yourself, and that's why we want to be one of the first movers in this point.
What I wanted to ask you is also, because there are other clubs in world football in Germany and also in British football, like Dulwich Hamlets or Forest Green Rovers, who are big on sustainability and social responsibility. Of course, I've mentioned already Union Berlin, Babelsberg can be mentioned as well. Do you sort of set some kind of a platform with these other teams because of your shared values, or is it also a competition a little bit between you?
Competition, not yet. So because we're not playing in the same division, of course, when we move up into the first division, then we are competitors with Union Berlin. Babelsberg is, I think, in the fourth division, and Green Rovers are in UK. But Green Rovers are a very good example. I mean, there are a third division club. I think I'm not really sure about that, but everybody is knowing that club because they do a fundamentally a new thing. and they spread their news all around the world, and everybody was looking on the grid. Okay, how do they that? How do they build the stadium? How do they handle with food waste, for example? So with jerseys, how do they travel? Do they travel by car, by bus, by plane, whatever? And so this is a perfect place to start, because it's a they created more awareness for this topic, and that's why I like the example of the Rovers. But to be honest, and that comes back to your question, because of the German system. In Germany, we still have the 50+1. You're totally right. But in case the 50+1 doesn't survive the next years, our point of view is totally clear. So we wouldn't change. We wouldn't change that. We wouldn't not go to an investor and say, let's make some business together. That's not an option for FC St. Pauli. So we have to struggle much more than clubs who are able to work together with an investor, for example. And that's why it's very, very hard for us as well. But on the other hand, because you mentioned Union Berlin and these other clubs, it feels very good to see that there are other clubs who have the same mindset like we have. And for example, Babelsberg, so we designed our own brand collection, so our own sports collection, with DIY, stands for Do It Improve Yourself. So we do not have Under Armour anymore, because we created our own brand, and now we are having our own jerseys and example. And if a team like Babelsberg would ask us, is it possible to play in DIYs in our brand, we would say, yes, let's have a look on this, and maybe it works out, because they have the same mindset like we have. And that's I think more it's important to have more clubs like this, and to bring the point of view more into the society. And then I think that the big power of football is creating something very good with this power.
Mm-hmm. Of course, St. Pauli is regarded as an anarchist punk club, and generating money itself in order to survive, I would imagine that for some fans and some sections of fans is already something very within the system that you need to work, and that they would not like to be a part of. How challenging is it for you to speak to these kinds of fans, and is there also some acceptance from them because it's football, for instance, or because they understand the reality, or can you see a little bit of a shift in terms of what kind of fans are going to the stadium compared to the past?
Yeah. So two different kinds of my answer. So on the one hand, everybody, we are all living in the same world, and it's a fairy tale to be a football club and to play in the second division without making any money, or without having any commercial corporations. That doesn't make sense. That's not possible. So our fans, and as I said, they are very clever. They understand that we have to earn money, that we need commercial industries like Levi's, like Astra, like Kongstar, our main sponsor, to build up these brands and to build up this club. And of course, we do not invest the whole money into the sport. It's very, very important. So of course, the biggest part of our revenues are directly invested in the sports, but also a part of this revenue are invested in social projects. And so to support, as I said, the homeless people in the district, or to support children, to be sure that they are able to learn an instrument, or to play football, soccer or football on the streets. And so this is very important to understand. We are raising money, but it's not for putting everything into the salaries of this players, but also to understand, to support and so projects in the district. That's the one point. And of course, as you said, Martin, the development of the fans in the 18s. So they were very proactive, and they are throwing something to the police, and they are very like fighting people. And now they are growing up. They're growing up. They're getting older, and they're getting more calm, and they're having family and kids, and so on and so on. And so the club developed, and also the fans developed. And the punk community, of course, there is still a punk within the club, but it's not like 20 years ago that punk was important, the most important criteria for somebody who's willing to go into the stadium.
So in what ways is the club still punk, would you say?
We are still punk in doing other things. So punk is against something, against the system, against the regime, for example. And we are deeply in our hearts, we are still punks because we are against the when I say against the establishments, it's too general. But I want to say that we are against how it worked in the past and how everybody thinks that it worked in the future. So no, we have to stand up. We have to clear our values, and we want to make sure that our kids and grandkids are having a world where it's worse to live. And we are very threatened by the actual development in general. So we have a war in the Ukraine. Maybe we have a war in Taiwan in a few months. We have the energy crisis in Europe. So we have so many things. We have still Corona. So we have so many bad developments that we want to have a clear message. So be very close to you. Have a look on the people, not just have a look on yourself and your living and your life, but also have a look on the other people, and take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your society. And that's where from my point of view, we are still very punky.
But sort of, I can imagine that for some people, and this was the criticism, that sometimes it feels like having a Che Guevara on your shirt and selling it. And of course, that brings a lot of stuff where I wanted to ask you also about the marketing for the fans and the products that you sell online. In what ways does taste come in mind, and what are the boundaries that you work within in this sort of sense?
Yeah, so have a look on the textile point of view, for example. So we have a very high standard for our textiles. So it's everything, it's GOTS and fair trade. So they are the highest standards of producing textile in the world. So, and for example, the DIY collection, it's produced in Turkey and in Portugal. So no Asia production, for example. And of course, I mean, like, if you put a Che Guevara on the shirt and sell it for 25 euros, then it's important to be aware of the story behind Che Guevara and who this people was, and to build up a story how we interpret it Che Guevara from our point of view. So as I said, so fighting not for independence as Che Guevara in Cuba, so just fighting for our planet, for example, not to become a yes sayer and to say everything, yes, I understand, so I understand. So no, to build up an own message and an own opinion, and to ask to ask behind what somebody is saying in the news, for example. And that's why, from my point of view, from our point of view, it's a perfect connection between we can spread out our message, and we can make some money with it. It's for me, it's totally okay to make money with a good thing, with a good point of view. And that's why I think our fans are also having this point of view. And that's why people are buying our merchandise stuff, because, to be honest, I mean, we make more or less 10 million euros just with our merchandise. And if you compare it to first and second division leagues or clubs, so we are in the top 5. So of course we are not FC Bayern Munich, and we're by far not Borussia Dortmund, but we are on the way, and it's totally okay. And you said a few minutes ago, FC St. Pauli is a brand of who's known worldwide. And of course, if you see, for example, in Toronto, if you are on the CN Tower and you have the Skull and Bone shirt, and somebody's seeing FC St. Pauli, and I have recognized this, and I know what the story behind this, you can reach, or you can combine people with the same mindset, and you can bring out the message, and it's totally okay, because merchandise is the most obvious point of your opinion. I mean, you can talk with your words, but you can also say a lot of things with your shirts, for example, with your sweater or whatever. From my point of view, it's a perfect collection about that.
Of course, when you talk about the revenues, are they more brought from Germany or from international community of St. Pauli fans or people who buy your merchandise? How do you reach your international audience differently, for instance, than the domestic one?
It's more or less, I would say, 95% from the German-speaking markets. So it's Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. But also the different 5%, it's also a very big part is Europe. A big part is, but also Northern America, because Skull and Bones is a iconic brand which works very well also in the US, and it's also Southern Africa. It's not Asia. Just a few, but it's not our focus market, and it's a bit Australia. It could be that there is a connection between FC St. Pauli and Australia, because 2 of our players are playing for the national team of Australia, and they are starting in Qatar in the World Champion Cup. But the focus is on the German-speaking markets. But we see how we communicate with them. Of course, we're mainly communicating in German, but we're trying to communicate also in English, especially for UK, because UK is a very strong market for us. But it's also Poland, for example, and it's also Italy, and it's also Spain, and we try to focus on these markets. And maybe in a few years, it's not months, it's more of a question of years, we develop more communication channels for Spanish speaking people, for Portuguese, for Italian speaking. But as you know, it's a question of resources, because it's very also time, but also money or money intense to build up these channels in these different languages. But it's our aim. But I think to communicate in English, and more or less the most people from the world are speaking good or very good English, so they understand what we want to say, and they could order some merchandise from our store with their knowledge in English, and that's very important for us. But to be honest, our focus mark, German speaking, and there we have to do our job very well. And if we have our supporters outside of Germany, we are love it. We are very proud about that. But there is a lot of a long way to go to be very deep into contact with them.
Mm. Of course, football serves as a great presenter of the ideas that you have, and as you said, the marketing of the T-shirts is one part of that. I assume it must be very hard to keep track of all your key values that you have as a club, because there's so much around it: the sustainability, the social responsibility towards the viertel that you are from, gender equality, racism, stuff like this. We've been talking a lot about sustainability. Would you say that you have to prioritize a little bit with these values? How do you stay a global club in some sense when you want to attract the partners from all over the planet, and at the same time still stay as this not even a Hamburg club, but a St. Pauli club?
Yeah, it's a good question, because if you have a look to other clubs, what are they doing? They are very good in organizing a football match every second week. So because that's their main job. So you have to be sure that the players have the best conditions to train, and that you have the best conditions in the stadium to play their match against your opponents. That's the focus job of almost every football club. But if you have a look to the FC St. Pauli, you have this topic and this and this and this and this. You have so many topics, and of course, for us, it's also our job to organize the football matches. But it's also important, as I said, and as you mentioned it already, also, it's also important to talk about our sustainable actions, and to be a very good employer, and to be the role model in these cases, as I said. And yes, of course, we prioritize the sustainable part of this club higher than maybe 2 years ago. Two reasons are behind that. So one of the reasons are, as I already mentioned, we are deeply convinced that there is no plan B. So you have to communicate sustainable in all his different topics. On the second part is the licensing of the DFL, of the German Federation, is renewed, or is there is a new topic, so that you have to be sustainable, and that's very important also for us, because the motivation is the money behind that, because the more criteria you fulfill, the more money you get, and that's why we focus on that topic as well. Yes.
Yeah, and of course, I would imagine that it's different for you than at other clubs also to be thinking about, because at a lot of clubs the fans say, oh, why don't you focus more on the results? But St. Pauli is much more than the results, and this whole community and sort of trying to address your values to the outside world is, for a lot of fans, maybe more important than the results themselves. So is it also, would you say, easier for you to work in this environment where you are obliged, even by your fans, to in the first place promote your values than to actually succeed on the pitch, although you want to be in the first Bundesliga, of course?
Yeah. So the thing is that you have to be successful in the division, because just in case we go down in the third division. So the third division is it's a very regional topic, and there is no platform for having a national-wide audience. So the basis is at minimum to stay in the second division, that we can spread our values, as I said. But it's also important to build up our community channels, because of course FC St. Pauli is known from the sporting perspective and from the football perspective, and that every match of FC St. Pauli it could be seen by Sky, for example, or in the news in RAD, or in Sport One. So so you have it, the touch points, also on the one hand with the sporting competition, but on the other hand, and that's why we want to become more strong, is that we are also interesting for people who are not interested in football, and they are watching, for example, Pro 7, or they do not read any sporting newspaper or so. We want to take place in the newspapers, but also in the TV stations, etc., where we can go into contact with these people. We want to build up our channels. We want to bring these people into our FC St. Pauli world, so that they can decide from their point of view what they want to be in contact with. So is it the social news? Is it news from for what we have done with our partners, together with Kongstar, for example, in the topic of anti-racism? So this is our big value and our big aim, to build up a community, not just on the basis of football, but on the basis of our values. And I think that could be also a bold move. And as I said, we are in a pole position, and we have to do it very constantly and strictly. That's very important, and I'm pretty sure that we are able to get where we want to.
Clubs like FC Copenhagen or FC Barcelona, which wants to maximize the fan experience during the day, because that brings a lot of money into the club, and all sorts of marketing strategies that go with the job. With FC St. Pauli, do some of these marketing strategies have to go in the bin because they would be unacceptable for the fans, or do you use marketing strategies but just with different values, would you say, if you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, there is not a general answer for that, but it's clear that customer experience, fan journey, these are buzzwords who our fans are very sensitive for, because the fans of the football club, if we are focused on the football point of view, they are more traditional. So they want to go into the stadium, they want to watch football. So they are they are in the bar. They are meeting in the bar. They're drinking some beer. They're going into the stadium. They want to watch football. They want to drink their beer. They want to go out into the bar, drinking some beer, and go home. So it's more traditional, and it's not comparable. It's an extreme example, like in the US sports, for example, that you have more event, so that you have a lot of activities what you can do within the stadium, but also in the areas of the stadium, and that's not our approach to communicate with our fans. But of course, we try to optimize the fan journey, but we do not name it like that. So that everything we do or we want to do is be FC St. Pauli like. I cannot explain how it really works, but we have to be very, very, very sensitive in terms of bringing this gadget into that and this gadget into that, and just to make money. So that's not our case. I cannot explain it very clearly what's really behind that. But I think as the what I've saying before, and I hope that you got a good picture of this club and how we think and how I personally think about that the topic of commercialize, and so it's to make a long story short, it's of course important for us, but we are very sensitive about that topic.
And in terms of women's football, which has taken a big leap in the last 5 years, if I know that right, the women's St. Pauli team is now in the Regionalliga. Do you see that also as a growing platform, and do you want to invest more in the women's side of the game than the men's, where potentially there could be also a big platform in the future?
It's a good question, because the question is, do we invest in it because we think that we can earn more money, and this is nowadays on vogue to have a women's soccer team? Or do we invest in the team because we are deeply convinced that they are and that they are worth to get supported by us? And I would say that also the fan community is so sensitive. They would recognize if we now put every resource into the women football, because we are having the opinion that it is good for commercialize the club. It's not the case. So and this is from another point of view a very strong point for FC St. Pauli. They're completely autark, so they are completely independent. So even if we want to bring their partners, or to bring partners to the first women team, they are not. They do not have to accept it, because they are completely independent, and that's totally okay. And the aim of this women team is not to be in the first division. They want to win matches. They want to have fun with their friends. They want to have they want to make it beside their jobs. So there is a completely different motivation from their point of view, and that's totally fine. And of course, if they need anything, we always try to bring them what they need. We always try to support them, but we're not supporting them from a marketing perspective, because everybody is now doing that, and so the FC St. Pauli have to do it also. That's not our case.
Mm-hmm. You will be speaking at the Sport Alive conference later in a couple of weeks. Can you just outline for us a couple of points that you want to bring to the discussion?
Yeah, so as we said, I'm totally aware of the brand value of FC St. Pauli. And from my point of view, it's also interesting to get some insights from the Czech sports country or sports community. And so my aim is to bring some ideas into the community that you can translate our point of view from FC St. Pauli into their sport clubs. And even if they are one idea which fits to them, and they bring it into life and it works out, then my job is done. So I want to give some ideas. I want to inspire people, and I want to convince them that they have to think not the mainstream. They have to think out of the box. That's how we do is how we got very successful at FC St. Pauli. And yes, if the people are, or the attendees are getting some ideas and getting some impressions, then I'm very happy, and my job is done.
Let's see where that leads. Martin, thank you so much for this fascinating discussion, and we wish you a lot of success in St. Pauli, and you personally as well. Thank you so much for your time as well.
Thank you, Ryan. Take care, and bye-bye.